Scratch. See this orange icon on your desktop? This is actually a standalone version. It does not need the internet, which is really important because sometimes we have internet problems. Other issues would be that if you go online, sometimes there's inappropriate content. So that's why we use the offline version. And so we have Scratchcat, the orange cat right here. This is all developed at MIT's Media Lab Lifelong Kindergarten. This is a group led by Mitch Resnick, brilliant man that wants to teach kids how to code. So here we have a orange cat in the middle of nowhere, and this is our stage. Then our sprites, you can see right here, our sprites show up here. All of our characters are sprites. And then over here we have our stage and background. And this is where the code goes. As long as your tabs at the top say scripts, that's where the code goes. Now if you're working on costumes, you can animate and edit and do all that stuff here on costumes. And if you're working on sounds, you can record your sounds, you can edit them, you can bring in sounds, you can do all kinds of stuff. So the main thing is make sure your tab is on scripts for learning how to code. So in the very beginning of learning how to code with Scratch, we first start with events. Every single code starts with an event. And we have many events to choose from. When green flag clicked. Now, when you're in Scratch, you have to understand that the game starts with a green flag click and it ends with a red stop sign, which makes a lot of sense. Start race, green flag, end it, stop sign. Sure. So the main thing is that that's the basic function of Scratch. But to get more in depth, you say when space bar or space key pressed. Now this little black arrow is found all throughout. So if you click on it, you'll see that there's something else going on. There's the underlying things you could choose from. So you have all the keys available on a keyboard right here on this little black arrow. So I always tell the kids, here we have when spacebar key press, but there's a magic arrow. So look at the magic arrow, click on the magic arrow, and there it is, all the choices. So you have a lot of control here. So then when the sprite clicked, now this is the sprite. So when you click the sprite, that'll do something. So let's not get too far into it. Let's just say that you're telling the kids, we want to make this cat move. We have to start with an event. So let's start with a basic event of when green flag clicked. So when green flag clicked, every time I click it, something should happen, but I haven't told it anything. So with code, it doesn't do anything unless you tell it to do that. So right now, we haven't told it to do anything other than when green flag clicked, something. So we could do anything from there. We can make it move. We could change how it looks. We could add some sounds. We could add a little bit of control. Now, the most important part of control is forever. Right? That's a forever link. Very important. Then there's sensing, operations, and data. We'll get through all that. But right now, let's just make this cat move. So let's go to motion. When green flag clicked, move 10 steps. Simple. There it is. And look at that. We have made our first interactive video game. And that's what you tell the campers. You say, okay, here we go. You have to make the cat move, go. And that's it. They could easily do this. Just click on this, and surprisingly enough, it just moves. Or a lot of campers click it and move it around. Look, I'm making a move. I'm making a move. All of those actually work because you did not give them any parameters that would tell them that that's wrong. So now you say, make them move with a button press. What? Okay. So now here we have to get rid of this code. This code isn't going to work anymore. So we have to drag it over here and drop it off. Getting rid of your code, deleting your code is probably the best option in most confusing situations. Just drag and drop, get rid of it, and then start over. So here, we'll go to the event. We'll say, okay, when space key pressed. Okay, so now when I drag that over there, this is my coding area. And then I want to do motion, sure, like this. So now when I press the space bar, oh, look at that, he's moving. Awesome. Now there's a bug. So a bug is what happens when the code messes up. Now in this case it didn't mess up. It did exactly what you said, but you don't want it to just disappear off the screen. So now we want to make it move back. So this becomes an issue. So now you tell them, I want you to make the cat move up, down, left, and right using the arrow keys on your keyboard. Whew. Okay, here we go. Up, down, left, right. Now here's a little secret. You can go over here to your stage and click on this little choose a backdrop. Now, the MIT people already put backdrops in there because they're freaking brilliant. So let's go all the way down and let's look at this one, XY grid. This is the super secret sauce to all gaming. 0 is in the middle, and then you have your Y and your X. Now, your Y goes up and down. And the way I teach this is I say the Y has an arrow pointing down, but it also goes up. The X has arrows going left and right. If you look at how to draw an X, there's arrow going left and right. So that says go left and right. So X's go left and right, Y's go up and down. And I actually do that with like a motion. I make an X and I say, with my fingers, I say go left and right. That is X-axis. Y, up and down. And I make a Y with my fingers and my arm, and the arrow points down. But it also means up. So, this is a beautiful thing. Now, Scratch is still off the screen. I brought in the backdrops. That didn't help me. So now let's go back to our sprite. Now, notice the blue rectangle around this. You're going to run into a lot of problems if you don't realize what you clicked on, because it will only change what you clicked on. So I want to click on my cat. Now this is object-oriented programming, which means that whatever object you click on, the program applies to that. So here we have a cat, and we want to make him move. Now I'm in costumes right now, which could get confusing because I can't code. I can't drag anything over. Click on scripts, boom, we're back in business. Okay, so now we have when spacebar click, that's not going to work. Okay, so let's do left arrow, because I want him to go left. Right now he's stuck right. I want him to go left. So that should work, right? Now I start clicking the left arrow, nothing. Now here's the big secret in coding. The opposite of this positive 10 is negative 10. So if I go over here to events, and I click on when spacebar clicked, and I go over here and I say right arrow, and I move this over to there, that's going to make it move right, because it's always going to go right, because if you look at the numbers here, this is all positive. There's nothing negative. Go over here, we have a negative number. Nice. So that means I can take this motion, move 10, and I can actually click on that number and change it. I can click on negative 10. Wow. Now, when I click on the left arrow, there it is. Scratch Cat is now moving. And I go that way, I can go that way, I can go that way, which this is an aha moment. This is when the kids are like, what? Sweet. But what about up and down? Okay, now move 10 steps is a beautiful beginning step, but it doesn't mean anything other than left and right. Move 10 steps will get you left and right, but won't get you up and down. So how do we get up and down? Y. The Y, like I said, if you make a Y symbol with your fingers and your arm, the arrow points down. But you also can say that that's up and down. So here we have the change Y function here. So we want to get rid of this because we're already going left and right. So this is going to be right, positive 10. This is left, negative 10. So now let's talk about Y. Y is up and down. So what is up? Let's take a look at our beautiful grid here. So there's 100 there. That's actually right at that point, you're at 100 pixels going up. And that's Y. That's a positive Y. Now here you have 100 pixels going down. And that's Y. That's a negative Y. So just like negative 10 going left on an x-axis will bring you left, a positive 10 will bring you right. So the same thing. Change y by 10. Now here's another little trick in Scratch. I can right click on here and say duplicate. So I don't have to keep dragging and dropping all these things. Once I have code that I like, I can actually duplicate it. But here I want to change 1 to a negative. So I click on the 10 and I type in on the keyboard my negative, which is right next to the 9. Actually right next to 0, and then here we go. So then we have change y by negative 10. So this is up, this is down, but what makes it go up? What makes it go down? Let's go back to events and say when spacebar. No, we don't want the spacebar. We want the down arrow for negative. Let's do it again. When. Now it clicks together like Legos. See that little white version of it? You can let it go. Boom. Automatically connects. And now this is positive 10. Don't change it. But this we want to change to up. There we go. So up arrow. So let's put this up. Key press, change y by 10. Just know that y is up and down. X is left and right. So here, let's change X to left side. There we go. So now our code actually represents what's happening. Up is up, down is down, left is left, right is right. So now let's test it. Hit the green flag. Green flag always means restart. So every time you change the code, do that. So let's go that way. There we go. I'm pressing the right arrow. It's going right. I'm pressing the left arrow. It's going left. Let's see what happens when I press the up arrow. It goes up. When I press the down arrow, it goes down. So in order to understand game logic, you have to understand that you're just telling the computer to move objects according to the screen. And it knows the screen as 0 in the middle, and Y up and down, and then X left and right. So it's important to note that. So once you know that, then gaming can start. After that, you have to get into collisions and scoring and time. But for the most part, you're set. You can make your character move. You are now coding a game.